All right. So I've always heard when it comes to autocross, more tire is better. And I'm really not looking for running the Hoosiers and the A7s and swapping wheels when I get to the track. I've got a daily driver. I put 15,000 miles a year in my MR2. I want a wheel and a tire I can drive every day, drive to the track, have some fun. So for the last several years, I've been running the BF Goodrich Rival 1.5S on a 225 on the front and a 245 on the rear because that was the widest tire I could get. Last couple seasons, there's been some newer, faster tires out there. So I've been waiting for these to wear out. Well, since then, Vitour has come out with the new Tempesta P1 in some really wide 15-inch sizes. So I took a gamble and I ordered the 245/35 R15 fronts and the 305/30 R15 rears and the 200 treadwear Vitour P1s. Got those put on today, put about 100 miles on, shaking them in, getting them scruffed in, and I got everything aligned. Did about 50 miles since the alignment, so I have some feedback. I will say going from the BFGs to the P1s, very different feel. The tire is a little firmer. Definitely feel a bit more of the road. It's not harsh, it's not unlivable, but definitely a little bit more of a sensitive tire. You can feel everything. I'll say the steering is heavier. Now, I went from a 225 on a 15 by 9 up front to a 245 on a 15 by 9.5. So definitely a little wider, a wider wheel, wider tire. I would expect it to be a little bit heavier. I will say though, the steering response feels quicker. It's a very engaging steering feel. This is not a car you can just hold on and cruise down the road. I always thought that the rivals are really engaging, but these are even more so. Not twitchy in any way, shape, or form, but they are definitely an engaging tire. The slightest movement, the car is going to move. I was worried about going quite so wide on the rears. You know, they definitely stick out. It looks ridiculous. You'll see some video here. I love it though. It's fun. Um, however, in driving it, it was fine. Car felt really planted, really stable. The only kind of surprising thing is that the rear seems to respond just a split second after the front does. It's almost like it's on water or something like that. Not that there's lack of grip, there's plenty of grip, but the steering response in the back, it just feels like the back end is trailing a little bit behind the front. That may not be a bad thing. I don't dislike it. It's just very different than what I was used to. That the rivals felt maybe not twitchy, but definitely a little bit more on edge. These feel a lot more planted, almost like you're driving through glue, which is good. You want them to stick. So I have not put them on the track yet. I did drive around town, did some back countries, got up on the highway. I did push it well above the posted speed limit on the highway. So, 90, 95 miles an hour felt very stable, very composed, no concerns at all there. And then on the back country roads, there's a few spots here where it's a 55 zone and taking the turns at 63, 64 was, really white knuckle. And my first a couple passes, I thought I'd take it easy and look down and I'm doing 65, 66. So definitely feels like there's a lot more to give than what the rivals had to offer. So how much of that is the P1? How much of that is the extra width? I'm not real sure since it's not really an apples to apples comparison. But as a package, there's definitely a ton more grip there. With the 245s in back on the rivals, I had no problems breaking traction. I've got a Honda K20 swap, pushing about 240 horsepower, so no problem breaking traction with the 245s on the rivals. I have a stage two clutch, and I did not want to try to melt it. I gave it a 5 or 6 really good hard launches, dumping the clutch around 5,000 RPM, was not able to break traction. There was a roundabout that I did a couple loops around, about as hard as I could roll. Again, nowhere near the limits. There's gobs of grip. So I'm really looking forward to getting this on the track and finding the limit, going over it. Hey, it's an MR2. We're going to spin, right? That's what MR2s do. So I'm going to get there. My biggest complaint with the rivals has always been that there was very little feedback between grip and slip. It's a fast tire, there's no doubt about that, but I never felt like I could run it at 9/10 or 9.5 tenths because I couldn't feel the edge. And a lot of that could be driver skill, but I felt like I was a lot more often running at 7.5 or 8/10. And I know there's time to be found with the rivals. I just couldn't find it without going too far. And so far, what I'm feeling with the P1s is that I'm going to be able to find that 9/10 or 9.5 tenths a whole lot easier. Road noise is comparable, if not even a little quieter than the rivals. I don't think I'm going to have any hard time at all running this on the daily. Like I said, I've got two cars. I have a Magnum SRT8 and I also have the MR2. I put about 15,000 miles a year on the MR2. I was able to get 19,000 miles and about 100 autocross runs out of my last set of BFGs. So got a lot of life out of a 200 tread wear tire, and they still looked like they had a little bit life left. I was going to try to make it through the summer season and then make the tire upgrade, something I did in the off season, but I had a tire blowout Monday. So now's the time. In terms of specifications, I was running a 225/45 R15 on a 15/9 with a 35 offset. Fronts, I was running a -1.5 camber, 3.5 toe, and zero point zero 0.01 toe. So not a super aggressive alignment there. On the backs, I had the BFGs at a 245/40 R15. 15/9 wheel, 35 offset with a -2.2 camber and a zero point zero 0.01 toe. So I did get much more aggressive here in this current setup. So the 245/35 R15 outside diameter is actually a little bit smaller, which made the fit and fitment pretty easy. I had no problems going on the front. I am running the BCBR coilovers with the 5K spring rate up front, 7K spring rate out back. So I'm sure that's helping with the fit. That drops the ride height about an inch from stock, but I do have the coilover set almost all the way to the top. They're adjusted a little bit for the corner balancing, but almost all the way to the top. That's running on a KE Motorsports Pro K12 15/9.5 with a 29 offset. Got the camber at -3.6 and the caster at 3.2 with the toe of -0.1. Out back running the 305/30R15. That's on the a K12 15/11 with a 20 offset. I did have to put a 6mm spacer in there, and even with that, I had to take a grinding wheel just a little bit to the back edge of the strut ear on both struts. I've got some 12mm spacers coming. They'll be here in a day or two, and I'm doing that mainly because as it sits right now, the tire is only about 3 or 4 millimeters from the toe link, and uh, with the tire flex, I'm sure at some point that's going to hit. I did chalk the tires and ran them pretty hard. I don't see any sign or evidence of impact, but an extra few millimeters will certainly make me feel a bit better. Camber out back is -3, and the toe is at 0.07. Now, one of the downsides of the bigger wheel tire combination is everyone talking about unsprung weight. So comparing out back, the old 245s on 15/9 was a 34.3 pounds. And those 15.9s were the 949 Racing 6ULs. Now, again, most of the tread is worn off of that, so there's probably another couple pounds of tread if it was a new tire. But even so, it's almost 10 pounds lighter than the 305s on the K12s at 43.7 pounds. Up front with the 245s, it's a 38.6 pounds. I did not weigh the 225 because not really apples to apples there. But you see the 245, 3515 on the 15/9.5, 38.6 pounds compared to the 245 on the 15/9 at 34.3. Again, that one's pretty worn. Add a bit more tread, you're probably sitting around 35, 35.5. But these tires are a touch heavier with this tire wheel combo. More wheel, more tire seems to be expected. So overall, real pleased with the setup so far. Looking forward to getting out to the track and racing this. My last several events, I'm not one of the fastest guys out there, but usually in a field of 100, I'm finishing right around 35 or 40. So definitely driver has a lot of room to improve. Faster than novices, slower than the fast guys. That's about where I've been sitting. So looking forward to shaving maybe a second and a half off of my time. It's about what I'm expecting to get here. But really what I think is going to help is it's just a much more confidence inspiring tire. I feel like I'm going to have an easier time finding the edge. So the tire itself might get me a second and a half, but I think the confidence might get me a little bit more. So on a 60-second course, I'm usually about 4 seconds off of, third place, first, second place, those guys are always nationals. I'm another second again behind them. But from a top five finish, I'm usually 3.5, 4 seconds behind the top 10 finish. So with the confidence and the extra grip, I'm hoping to start pushing up into that 15 to 20 out of 100 in terms of the rankings. One day I do want to seek out fastest time of the day in terms of raw times, but that's just going to take a lot more seat time than I've had so far. So I'll keep working on that. I'll follow here with a few of the videos of the install and pictures so you can see what it looks like and how everything fits. But so far, giving it a big thumbs up. So I do want to thank All Star Auto in Middlesex, North Carolina. Russ over there, great friend. Thanks for always taking care of me and putting up with my wild ass ideas. I also want to thank Phil's Tire Service for selling the tires and the wheels. From order to delivery with the heat cycling was 3 days. So that was great. Really appreciate that. And I want to thank Andrew over at the Firestone in Wilson, North Carolina for the alignment today. He spent over 2 hours really trying to dial him in, get him just right. Really appreciate you doing that. And I apologize tremendously. I meant to leave you a $20 tip, and the strange look on your face was explained when I got home and realized I still had the 20 in my pocket, and I gave you my Bojangles receipt from lunch. So, Andrew, I will get that over to you real soon. And then also, of course, I want to thank Mitch's Auto Parts for all the help over the years. Brandon over there helped me with the K-swap and knowledge every step of the way. Great support, good friend. So appreciate everyone who's helped me out along the way. So without further ado, here's some of the videos of the install and how everything looks. All right, so here comes the fat tire onto the K-swapped MR2. Currently, I am running 15x9s all the way around. I got the rival 1.5s and a 245 in the back. See, they a little bit proud. And running the rival 225s on the same 15x9 up front. No rubbing issues whatsoever. Alright, so what we have here, we are comparing the rival 245. That's this guy right here. Here's the Vitour P1 and a 245. This is on a 9.5-inch wheel, so a little bit more stretched. Yeah, see, it's about the same size. And that tall boy in the back is the Vitour P1 and a 305/30 R15. It is definitely a little bit taller. So this 305 is on a 15x11 KE or a KE Motorsports Pro KE 12s, and we can see this is sitting at right at 12.25 thick. And looking at the 245, again, this is on the 9.5-inch wheel, so got a little bit more, sitting around 10.5. And the 245 on the 9-inch 6UL, sitting at about 10.25, thereabouts. So weighing these in, the 305 is at 43.7 pounds. Yeah, 38.6 pounds on the 245.
Yeah, 34.3 pounds on the old rivals, but those have lost a lot of tread, and they are on a 1/2 inch narrower wheel. All right, go ahead, guys. Let's get it on. So the 305. This is I think a 21 millimeter offset instead of the 35 on the old wheel. So we're not sure if this is going to clear. If it doesn't, we do have some 6 millimeter spacers to get it back to the same offset as the old.
It rubs?
It definitely rubs a little bit right here above the knuckle. So we are going to have to put those 6 millimeter spacers on. All right, well, there she is. That's a fat tire. And with that 6 millimeter spacer, we are not getting any rub in here. See, we are a little close, but that's not any further than I was before. So even with the 6 millimeter spacer, these KE12 seem to sit a little tighter than the 6UL. And I'm getting a little bit of rub, just barely, right here and right here. So either we're going to need to shorten that up a little bit or get some fatter spacers. These 9.5 KE12s fit just fine on the front. Plenty of room. That's not a problem. So that's a 245, the 9.5 inch wheel. Taking off just a little bit where the wheel is rubbing. We see that we are clearing the strut. Still a little close. But that is fitting in there. And we're spinning around with plenty of room. Yeah, dive up in there and you can see, now I got plenty of room up there. So we're not gonna have any problems. Got about,
Really just needed to check that back one.
yeah. All right, she is 245s up front, 305s out back. Get ready to drop her on the ground and see how it looks. There we are, jacked up on one side, and we still got plenty of clearance, so I think we're gonna be all right. There's just some fat boys back there. Look at that. All right, well, there they are. Special shout out to Vitour for making a 305 street tire and a 15-inch. Phil's Tire Service for the KE Motorsports, and that's where I bought the tires as well. Great service, fast shipping. Of course, my buddy Russ over at All Star Auto in Middlesex, North Carolina for the shop space. And getting these bad boys aligned. Go. Got the before. Then we got the after. All right, well, I've put about 30 miles on it since getting the alignment. And I think she's set up pretty well. Drives real nice.